So Nate, I have a question for you. I'm aware that rest can feel awfully elusive for me, and I'm a straight, white, cisgendered woman who is gainfully employed, who has enough food to eat, a roof over her head, and for the moment and for now, thank God, my family is healthy. And it makes me wonder if this goal of rest is a bit of a privileged one.
Hmm.
Is rest something that can be experienced when those basic necessities of life are not a guarantee?
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, that's a powerful and important question that I don't have a neat and tidy answer to, but I do go to the sort of broader Exodus narrative in Scripture, and I see a few things in that story. Um, in some sense, in sort of Exodus 1 through 13, 14, 15, before the sort of crossing of the Red Sea into the wilderness, I, I think there's a pretty explicit acknowledgement that there are empires out there that make rest impossible for the inhabitants of that empire, and the Israelites find themselves in that position. There's and as far as I can tell, there is no divine judgment of the enslaved people for not being able to keep Sabbath, which is, I think, an important thing to note. Then you get the journey continues. They find themselves in the wilderness. There's this whole sort of narrative about manna and Sabbath, which is so important for my own understanding of Sabbath, which, again, I think you have this people who have been conditioned to a ceaselessness rooted in the ideals of an empire, and that has to get dislodged. And I think the Sabbath is one of the ways that it gets dislodged. There are these really sort of amazing limits around work with the manna. You can go out and you gather it, but it actually burns off by the time this, it gets hot. So, and you're only gathering enough for one day. And so, like, and it totally messes with their identity, which I think was exactly the point. The journey continues. They find themselves in the promised land. They receive the 10 commandments, and that Sabbath commandment is the longest of all the commandments, and it includes within it this there's different versions in Deuteronomy and Exodus, and the Deuteronomy version, I believe, is the one that says the reason you have to do this is because there was a time when you couldn't. Because the Lord your God brought you out of Egypt with a mighty hand and an outstretched arm. And, what I hear in that is you have to remember that there was a time when Sabbath wasn't an option for you. And the broader text says it's for you, it's for your children, it's for your servants, the resident aliens, it's for your livestock. There's this vast sort of inclusiveness to the Sabbath command. And so what I see there is this insistence of God to God's people saying, there was a time when you lived in a place, in a context where Sabbath wasn't an option. You can't recreate that. Instead, part of your work as God's people is to create the systems and the structures and the societies whereby rest is made possible for everyone, all the way down to your livestock. Or, if I say it less hierarchically, all the way over to your livestock.
Right.
So it's a huge challenge. But if there again, if we reduce it to, well, this is just a matter of between me and God, then absolutely it can succumb to all of the traps of consumerism, individualism, all the things. Whereas if it's an obligation to receive this gift and to make it available for the most vulnerable in your midst, that changes the conversation pretty substantially.